Okay, let's get started here. We're going to see what we've got going on, but today we're going to be looking at the new Logic for iPad. And I don't know, it's been quite an interesting day. And I think that there were parts of this that I was hoping would be, just really revolutionary and change things quite a bit. And not everything, did exactly what I was thinking it would do. And so we're going to talk about it. You can see I've got a live iPad screen going on right now behind me. And I've got the mouse attached. It does have a little bit of an issue every once in a while, but we'll see exactly how that's working. It turns out that doing a live stream with Logic Pro for iPad and all of the pieces that go with this is pretty difficult. Making sure you can see what's on the screen, and when we start doing some sound testing so you can hear what's happening with it. All of these different things turn out are pretty difficult, so we're going to have to fine-tune the streaming setup over time. I'm using a different microphone than normal. I hope that is acceptable for today, but as you're coming in, let me know if you've downloaded or have Logic Pro for iPad. And if you have installed it and started using it. If you have not, that's okay. Let me know if there's any specific questions you're looking to have answered for what it can or can't do. I'm going to start walking through it a little bit, knowing that we're going to have more questions today than answers. The manual's like 900 something pages, although a lot of it would be instruments and effects, right? And so some parts of that we're not going to get to. I have tested out quite a bit. I did a recording session this morning in one of our studios on campus and was able to get everything working really nicely with the recording. And I've done some with MIDI stuff this afternoon. I've done some transfers between Logic Pro for iPad and the normal Logic Pro. Back and forth. I was actually shocked at a couple things that we're not able to do. If I want to use the iPad version regularly in my workflow, it's going to change some major parts of my workflow. And so we should all be ready for that. But so dive into the comments. Let me know what things you have questions about. I don't today want to hear about the subscription opinions. We all know that nobody is super happy with that. Or at least the ones who are talking. And I get it. I wish that they had just released a subscription and a non-subscription version because they had to know people were going to complain, and it would have been easy to do that. But anyway, doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that part of it today. You all get a free month of it. So enjoy your free month. If you don't want to do the subscription, make sure you unsubscribe. But let's talk about the things, right? The things that are the most interesting. First and foremost, I have one of not the biggest. My iPad is not the biggest in terms of screen size. And it really shows. I'm going to have to hook this up to a monitor if I ever want to use it. And if I'm going to hook it up to a monitor, I'm going to use Logic, right? The non-iPad version. If I have to hook it up to everything I have to hook up my computer to, I'm going to use that version. However, some parts of this have been amazing, have been absolutely incredible today. So we'll get to that too. But it's a lot of resizing of screens. And a lot of that is super easy with your finger. Just pull it up and down. If we have the tiles in the middle, that's super easy to get some of those things. We can actually have all three of those different areas open simultaneously. I'm going to probably work this way some. Although the tiles are cool and I understand the concept of giving us some of the things on the screen, I almost always am doing more things than just 3 knobs or 2 knobs on each different thing. And so we'll see how much I really use that. It could be that I just go back to the mixer all the time and fly that up. So super responsive, easy to see all the different pieces here. I'm not a super big fan of always having to pull presets, although Logic has been a preset software for a long time. I still want to go to the source of the instruments most of the time, so we'll go through that. Let's talk about just the basic setup first. Top right corner, we have our settings, and for the first time in my life, I really feel like the settings in Logic are manageable instead of having like 10,000 different pages. We can do some real basics. So our general things here, run in background, select regions on track selection, etc. Just really basic things. It does try to auto-select auto device. That's on by default. And once I turn that off, I could come through. Right now, I don't have my interface connected because of the way I've got this set up right now. Technically, what happened was I need to get a hub, a powered hub, for the audio interface. And until that, I just plug in the audio interface directly, but then it runs off of battery the whole time. That's something I can sort out through Amazon. No big deal. I do like that I can go through all my iPad microphones and do some of the different choices. We do have a buffer size and an input gain. That's really it, though, from that part. Recording, the cycle parameters, MIDI ports, automation, really little, view, region, colors. Those are the app settings, and then we have the project settings. Why couldn't we put the sample rate next to the buffer size? Why do we always split things into 2 different windows? That's a side note. I know that the reason is because one of them are the global app settings and the other ones are the specific project settings, but still stupid. Flex and follow, we can turn that on by default for tracks. Flex is actually one of the biggest concerns I had about the whole thing. Synchronization, we could have consolidated some of these things. We didn't need to have all of this happening. Although we do have the Her mode tuning, which is nice to have carried that over. Of all of the things, of all of the features to carry over to the iPad version, it seems like the tuning is one of the lesser ones, but we got it nonetheless. So here we are. Okay, so pretty basic settings, but we have the settings now. So we can actually change our audio interface. We can have the built-in one, or when I plug in my SSL 12, you'll see how that looks, etc. I do, like I said, I'm using my mouse right now, partially so you can actually see what I'm grabbing, because if I'm just using my finger, then you don't get to see exactly what that is. Okay, so let's see. A couple things of interest. Excuse me. I was interested right off the bat in what would go back and forth between Logic Pro on the computer and Logic Pro for the iPad. That was one of my first big personal questions. And the answer is that, not everything. Not everything goes back and forth. So I pulled up some old projects that I have on my iCloud drive, and I would say a number of them didn't work. They had restrictions. For instance, if you're using the drummer track on your main Logic, and it's in the producer kit mode, it won't even try. It won't even just deactivate it and pull it in, or use, a down mix of it. It just won't even open it. It says you're using a producer kit, you can't open it. Okay. That seems like we don't have producer kits on the iPad version of Logic. Project doesn't start at 1111. It won't open. If you have a binaural panner or any sort of surround or Atmos, it won't open. There was a few other things. External MIDI tracks, no outputs. There were a number of things that won't open. And so you have to actually know those limitations if you want to go back and forth between them. So otherwise it's great. Now, I will say, right off the bat, let me go back to my mixer, because I was testing this out. So here's the beat breaker, right? I love the beat breaker. This thing is going to be one of my new favorite things. Except there's no beat breaker in the new version of Logic, which is 10.7.8, which was released today. The new version of Logic for Mac, which was just a point upgrade, gives us compatibility to go back and forth. But if you have a beat breaker or the Alchemy sample, neither one of those has a version in the OS 10 version of Logic. So they just bring up a little box that says this is just here for compatibility. You can hear what it's doing, but you can't make any changes unless you're using the iPad version. And so we're stuck not being able to use even some of the new Logic features in the desktop version. That's interesting. We are automatically, and they've done this for a long time with GarageBand and Logic, but GarageBand and Logic you'd think would have a fork in them, right? They would be different. Now we have GarageBand iOS, GarageBand OS 10, Logic Pro iOS, iPadOS, and then we have Logic for OS 10. And even the Logic versions, the two Logic versions are on an automatic fork, meaning that they're not the same. They don't have all the same features. And while you can open up to a certain degree some of those things on each one, you can't do everything. So we can program this and then listen to it on the main version of Logic, but what good is listening to it if we can't make any changes to it, right? I mean, seems a little interesting. Okay, so that was the initial thing. I actually do want to really quickly, let's add a new track. And we'll do a MIDI. I need to figure out how to make a new default because I hate how it loads things in for me. I really dislike that, but that's just me. And I'm sure I can figure that out. But right off the bat, if you go here, you'll see we have the vintage piano right there, right? Which we can open up and do stuff with. I don't want to right now. But at the top of the screen, right where it says mix, there's a little plus. I'm going to click on that plus. And that's like setup mode. So now I can come through and add my MIDI effects, the instruments, the audio effects, the sends, all of that stuff. So I can actually come click on that electric piano and say remove and put anything I want. So for instance, we're going to do the sample alchemy, and then I'll go back to the non-setup mode, and you'll see this is then the new sample alchemy, which we don't have in Logic Pro for the big version, but just this version. And so I'll have to be going through here and figuring some of this out, but I'm super excited. This is another really cool instrument that lets us do a bunch of stuff. And so we'll be pulling some of this stuff. Everything's drag and drop poorly. You have to like sit, pause, wait till it expands, then move it, which I get. But certainly there's some stuff with that we're going to be excited to have changed. This is like the Alchemy engine just with a different format. Okay, cool. And so that's the one piece, is this new way of working with importing or adding different elements to your project. They really want us to work with the tiles. So for instance, let's go to the tiles for this. And the reason I think that I say that is because when you're in the tile mode, look over here to the left side where it says MIDI effects, right? You can add a MIDI effect straight from there, or you can add an audio effect in the chain. And it's like we can, let's see if I can. I was trying to move it. I haven't actually tried this yet, so it would be so much nicer if you could just move it from here. No, it doesn't look like it though, but I can add a new one right from there. Okay, let's talk about the effects for a minute. Because we have most of the effects, right? I think I haven't done like a one-to-one comparison yet, but a couple things of note. For instance, Chromaverb has its normal, beautiful interface. Okay, I'm not actually going to play anything right now. Okay, so it has that, so we can actually come through and see that, which is kind of cool. But then there's other plugins like the compressor, which we just have the normal little meters here. Let's see, we don't have the actual, I can't remember what it's called, like the chart mode or whatever, where you can actually see it's like we've lost some functionality in terms of visualizing it, but all the audio functionality is here. I think we took a hit in terms of how these plugins look. As if it wasn't bad enough. Some of them were bad in the first place. They look worse now. Part of that is so you can create like this interface that can change around. So for instance, we can do plugin control sizes and do small. Right now we've got this version of it, so everything fits a lot tighter there. We've got, let's see, the medium version, and then the large version, which is similar to medium, but certainly the small one is the one that makes the biggest difference. Cool. Let's get out of that for a second. But then we have things like stereo spread, right? Stereo spread doesn't look anything like this on the Logic for OS X version, but it should. I mean, this is just super clean, neat, and tidy. It's all the same stuff. The visualizer tells everybody what it actually does in the other version, and this tells us nothing. So I think that's part of it. Pitch correction. So you're going to see this new theme of plugins and how they look. I do think this one has something that I don't remember on the other version, which is the neural pitch detection. I'm going to have to listen to this and see exactly what is different with that. That's cool. So we'll have to see exactly what this sounds like. But the neural pitch detection is something brand new. So some new features in some of these plugins, as far as I can tell. I don't know, in this case, what this particular plugin will sound like if you take it back into the OS X version. I don't know. If you're watching and you want me to pull open any specific plugins, let me know. Here's the Amp Designer. And the Amp Designer still has the little graphic there, but it's certainly less prominent. And so, let me see. Let's go back to auto for that. Okay, cool. Like some of the cool graphic things about the microphones are gone, but all the information is still there. Cool. Let's see. Let's see about the pedal, stomp boxes, Blue Echo. So the little graphic and then the information. You're not actually touching the pedal like you were in the OS X version. Okay, cool. Trying to think if there's anything else here. Everybody's favorite. which is the gain plugin. Super straightforward. Let's see. Utility, specialized. Let's do the multi-effects. And we'll do fat effects. Again, took an ugly plugin and made it uglier. Didn't know that was possible. And yet here we are, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. Okay, cool. Let's look at some of the instruments, because hopefully you're all like, I wonder what some of our favorite ugly plugins look like, right? So we're going to go here. Let's remove that. And let's do sculpture. Who else is excited to see what sculpture looks like? Because this is my, just closed it all. There's the morph parameters, the string parameters. Oh my gosh, there's so many pages of parameters. This thing is such a beast. Oh, freaker frack. I wonder if my scroll wheel on my mouse can move these. They can't. In fact, the mouse doesn't do anything with that. So you can't scroll with it or anything. So you have to use your finger, it looks like, at least right now. That might be a bug. I can't imagine why the scroll isn't working. So many. That's not better. There's no way in the world that this is a better design than the crappy design that we have in the OS X version. Let's see. Boson says, I really miss being able to save or open channel strip settings. You can copy by paste, but no save. No support for smart controls. No advanced editing of Alchemy either. Sculpture looks so great. Yeah, it goes on. It's like, at least with the other format, it's like, I know, top part, sound generation. Then we have like the morph area. And then we have like all of the modulation, right? It's stupid, but it is organized. This, oh my gosh. Who did this? Who decided that this was the way to take it? I mean, give me a break. This is so insanity. Deep breath. I got to remember. Let's load up another thing here. I want to see, for instance, the multi-sampler. Oh, geez, dear goodness. The one thing that would be cool is to edit sampled instruments. I don't know if you can read that. It's a little bit fuzzy just because of the way I'm doing this today. When you load the sampler, it says this plugin provides playback compatibility with Logic Pro for Mac projects. You can load presets for this plugin, but parameter editing is only available when using Logic Pro for Mac. F you, Apple. Seriously. I know this is like, essentially, we're just rolling out a beta of Logic for iPad. There's absolutely zero excuses for this, except maybe they just got tired. M1 Mac or iPad Pro can handle sampler. I mean, there's no power deficiency. At this point, this is just laziness. Or maybe they're like, you know what? Let's charge everybody $5 a month so we can continue to develop it. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to build you a house. And when I build you this house, we're going to get like half done. And then you need to move in and start paying your mortgage. I know we're not done. We're going to be. We're going to be in the future. But like, what? One of the more important instruments in Logic, in my opinion. Obviously, that's a my opinion thing, but let's do the other sampler and just see. Because I bet you maybe there's a chance that Quick Sampler could have some stuff. And so we have the Quick Sampler. With the flex functionality and everything. So that looks like it could be everything except for I can't record into it, it looks like. So you cannot record directly into this, which I thought is one of the cool features of it. But that's, who cares? That's just a small thing. What other ones anybody want to look at? I'm not going to open RetroSynth. It hurts too bad. Even things like the Drum Kit Designer. Right? Drum Kit Designer, if you remember on Apple, on the Mac version, has a beautiful drum kit, and you click on one of the drum elements to do it. Is this the best alternate to something that looked really beautiful? I mean, you could pull that up in like a session with somebody, and everybody goes, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We just took something that has a wow factor and made it look like this. Right? I mean, let's do a vote. There's 20 of you watching. How many of you think this is better? It could be that functionally it doesn't matter. Right? But if I'm in a session and I'm not paying attention, so let's just talk function for a second. We've got the crash right, crash left, tom high, tom mid, tom low, ride, crash all, toms all. We've even broken this down into stupid categories. Hi-hat, snare, kick. It's like I'm on the kick, moving this around, right? This little, the tuning. 10 seconds later, I could think I'm on the same one and be moving the snare if I'm not carefully reading the words. I'm in the musical zone. I'm not reading all the words all the time. They all look exactly the same. This is 101 design fail. They could have put little silhouettes in the back of those boxes that represent each of the instruments. A little kick drum, a little snare drum, a little hi-hat. Let's open up just to see. Maybe they did this with one of the other ones. Let's see, drums, drum synth. Let's see if the drum synth has this, the same as the. Look, my point exactly. Look at that little kick icon there. We know exactly what we're dealing with. They couldn't have taken 10 minutes and built those out for the other ones. And this one is such a waste of space. They could have put them all. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. Garrett says, very uninspiring, not distinctive. They're making everybody pay every month for stuff that looks unfinished. And Bozen says, like you said, it seems like they just got lazy or ran out of time. It is, This is the first time, I wasn't actually planning on just bashing, but I hadn't opened up all the instruments. Now I have. Let's see with the horns. Okay, download missing sound pack. Let's do it. So in the top right corner of this, there's a little circle that's going to go around. We'll come back when that's done. Synthesizer. So here's all the synths. I wonder what the vocoder synth looks like. That looks exactly like all the rest. Don't even start. Don't misunderstand. I don't know. I don't know if what I'm about to say is actually true. I don't know if that is true at all. But Steve Jobs would be rolling in his grave seeing the design beauty of this particular implementation. Oh my gosh. Like I said, that's complete height. I could, yeah, probably somebody at Apple's waiting for someone to say something negative and pulling the plug on their content, but you know what I mean? So alchemy's like this. And that's all you can do. Touch interface. The most important part of this app in building some of these sounds, and they've taken away all the parts of the instrument that it would really be benefited from. I don't know. Maybe it was just so much work to get this far that I'm being unrealistic in my expectations. But all of the parts that I think were good or that could be amazing in a touch interface, how is this ever going to be used by somebody who doesn't know what every single parameter means? I mean, they're going to take one look at this and run. That's the beauty of some of the graphical interfaces that we have. Some of those interfaces with instruments where we have like the Leslie and the cone is spinning and we see the microphone placement and we have the drawbars. It's like the beauty of those interfaces are that we can look at them and like sort out some of the things that we can do with them. Instead of this, which is confusing to the eye. And there's so much information that it's like, Let me know if you disagree. Let's go to the small size. I mean, look at this, the small size for that. Holy crap. That thing's beautiful. There's so much information on the screen. This is like a professor at the university using PowerPoint and they put on the screen like 30 bullet points, right? And you have to you're trying to scribble them down in your notes as fast as they're going. And no matter what they're saying, you don't even know what they're saying because you're trying to write it down and there's too much information at once. People often talk about Steve Jobs' presentations. He redefined how PowerPoint was used. Of course, Keynote, the Apple product, is a flagship product, right? But there'd be like one thing on the screen, like an icon or a picture. And if there was information, it would be a slide that was so clear and so concise and simple. And then he would talk. Everyone would get the information and be able to understand it instantly. And then they could listen. And that's the problem with what you're seeing on the screen here is that there's so much information, you're never going to be able to hear what the organ is doing because you're going to be so stressed out about all the stuff on the screen. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. There are a couple of good things. For sure. I mean, why couldn't they just do the drums that way? Why couldn't they make the drums something else? So, studio horns should be loaded now. This thing is a disaster. I was getting excited about it this afternoon, but looking at the instruments and stuff, this product is a disaster. No matter what all the other videos tell you, there's nothing that's, I mean, oof. Okay, so let's talk about this piano, right? This is cool. This is one of the areas I think is great. Although we had this with the Logic Remote app where we could change between these. Latency was always a little bit of a thing because you're going this, you can connect it via cable or whatever, but there's always like that time to get to the software. With this, it's right here in the same platform, less of an issue. So let me, before I go, let's go back up to the guitar here. Cool. And let me switch my sound. We're going to add my audio interface, which is the SSL12. Fingers crossed that this works. You never know when you're like plugging things in or out at any given moment. Under settings, audio. Oh, it popped over. So it already automatically connected, although it didn't have to. You can see I've got two interface choices there. Yeah, okay. So that's not a guitar sound, believe it or not. So let's load, remove, instrument. So if you want to use some of the sampler stuff, like guitars, right? Then you actually have to load them as presets. You can't go through the actual normal load area because we don't have the sampler thing. And then we have to do things like guitar, acoustic, and we'll do, let's see, partial matches. Beautiful. Okay. Hold. I guess I have to do that up here. Huh. I guess I can't drag it onto there. That's strange. Maybe these are samples. Let's go back to instruments. That's what it was. There we go. It was a mismatch. Right? So into the alternate formats of playing. This is cool. Yeah, that sounds like a real guitar. It doesn't, but guitar string. That's not horrible. Well, that's a little bit different with guitar, but and of course you can change the scales. And bend notes, of course, all of that stuff. I mean, that's all stuff we've already seen. None of that is super new. Some other configuration elements down here. I wish... Oh, you can change the note of the strings. That's kind of interesting. I wish there was some of the auto chords, like the chord pattern, the strumming patterns, and the picking patterns that we have in GarageBand. And Bosun says no musical typing on the physical. I haven't connected my keyboard yet. I'll be doing that again after I get all the rest of this sorted out. Oof. I was bummed. I was bummed we don't even have the cool drum kit. I mean, what the heck? I know that's so dumb. But GarageBand has it. Why can't we have the cool stuff? I'm only partially serious. I'm dead serious, but that's going through so many effects. Let's go into the mixer for a second and deactivate a couple of these effects. Let's see. Setup. Oh, come on. Is there no fast way to deactivate all of these? Oh, my freaking... They're going to make me do this like the super slow way. Maybe there's a faster way. I just don't know it. I'm literally going to have to read the manual. I mean, gosh. Pretty responsive. I mean, you would expect it to be, but it is. Oh my gosh. Trying to think. Okay. Stuff. Miscellaneous category. No flex pitch. You can't do any sort of like fine-tuning pitch stuff, which again would make sense with your fingers. It'd be so nice to be able to reach on the screen and make some changes in more of a tactile way, even though it's just touching glass. It would be nice to see what they would have done with that. And instead, they just said, nah, we can't do it. At least I can't find a way. I haven't been able to find a way yet. Let's do a test, because I don't have a really good example of this. Input 1 and 2 SSL. Gosh, I think it's 13 and 14. Unless, can I do the mono? There we go. Check. That's not it. So 13, 14. I have a talkback mic on that thing. And I don't remember which one it is because I don't use it like this. Nope. That's weird. I was hoping. Cheat the system a little bit without a microphone attached to it. I guess I could attach a microphone. No, not easily right now. Anyway. We could audio patches. Maybe we could find a sample that has some voice. Right, so we have that sample. So editing and stuff is another interesting part to this. So you can do like editing, you can cycle it, select it. You can do takes and folders in here, although I haven't gotten into a lot of the details yet. Name and color, you can move it, trim it, split it, bounce and join, tempo, and browser. Let's go to the edit, and we show an editor. You can still quantize, which is the flex function. Let's click on the stretch. Stretch just lets me do time expansion like that. Cutting it, trimming it, quantize. Oh, that's not where quantize is. That's it. I mean, we can do automation. Ooh, this is going to be painful. It is confirmed you don't have to have an Apple Pencil to draw automation with your finger. Yes, and that was something else I was going to talk about as well, Mark. Maybe at the end of this, because this is more like a day one reaction video, where I'm fumbling through some of the stuff that, it's like I feel like I shouldn't necessarily be fumbling through. But there are lessons. But it's not going to, after you do the lessons, you're still not going to have, like plugins that look good and are easy to read. That part is not going to be fixed after understanding how to use it. But I'm going to go through those. Before I make my next video, I'm sure, I'm going to go through all of those and see exactly what it is that I'm missing here. Because, I'd like to think that there's a master plan for how this works. I'm never going to argue with the fact that I love automation I can draw with my finger. That's cool. That's super cool. But where's analyze tempo? Where's like my full flex functionality, right? Write project tempo to audio file. That's the other question. Do we have, by the way, for everyone out there who's been asking for it for years, there is a tap tempo function in here where you can just tap it. And in the middle of a song. You don't have to do it at the beginning. That's cool. Oh, it's like I see so many like little sparks of things that would be amazing. I really do. I see that so much here is really promising. But too much of it, I think, is going to be like learning, instead of building on what we already know, it's going to be learning a new way of doing things like we had to do with GarageBand. And so I think that part is a little bit frustrating. So we don't have the record. Let's see, control bar. We do have capture recording. We can turn on the CPU and the MIDI input. We have low latency monitoring. Cool. We have a tuner built right in that option like we do in Logic for Mac. But we don't have all of the other cool tempo recording things. If you're doing a lot with tempo less recording on Logic for Mac, then this is not going to replace that. But this isn't really going to replace a lot of those things anyway. Any of my big orchestral banks, I'm not going to be able to do them on here. There's no way right now. Let's look at one last thing as we kind of explore some of this. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Recent. Go back in. I want to do... And I'm not doing live loops with any of this today. That's okay. You'll forgive me. Sound library. I haven't looked through here yet to see exactly what we have, but I'm going to go through at some point. I wish there was a... There it is. Get all. I'm going to say get all. Oh. I think I have enough on there. Nope, I don't. I need to get rid of some of the other media stuff. We'll do that today. So I'll do that and then get all. and see exactly what we have in terms of, most of these look like stuff we've already been using, so not a lot of fancy stuff. But here's what I was going to do next. We have our audio units, our generators, and instruments, and MIDI controlled effects. So let's do Moog Model D. So this, for better or worse, this is not necessarily for better always. Here, without sound apparently. I don't think anything's... I mean, maybe the sound is broken on it. Weird. But, I mean, I can see these knobs and drag them. And these little buttons. I mean, this is very doable. And I think I like, maybe some of them could be bigger. But I don't understand why we couldn't have had a little bit more like this from Logic. Yeah, I don't know why it's... Maybe I need to do... Where was it? Model D is in default 4. Oh yeah, it's working when I do the actual controller, just not the one that was on the own screen. And we could add in, let's see, configuration. Where's the other choice? View options. It's not letting me have the pitch bend on this one. Typical. Right there it is. It's just in the wrong place. Okay, so it's there. I don't know why that's not on by default, but there it is. So there's that, right? But then when we're using the mixer, let's hide the piano and let's add in an audio effect. So we have our audio units. I don't have all of mine installed. I have a lot of them. TC Electronic voice rack. We'll see if this crashes anything. Looks like it's okay for now. So TC Electronic, I mean, we've all heard of them. Great. They have their iOS plugin. I'm excited to see which ones are going to come from the big manufacturers that are in both places. Because let's leave that for a minute. It says it's uploading. You can see it right next to the name there. Oof. So let me pull that over And now you just have my logic screen behind me. I don't know what I have here. Don't close. Well, maybe I should close it, actually. I just don't. Where are you? Okay. Did it add anything? Oh yeah, so here's what we have. A plugin named AU Voice Rack is not available, and a plugin named Model D is not available. So they're just not there, right? That's what a lot of us are going to be faced with. Yay! But everything else just popped right up. And so you can see that voice thing. They're showing up down here as that. They just don't exist. I swear. Maybe I was wrong. Let me Oh, maybe I don't have them turned on for that. Plugin Manager, Moog. No, I said the Model 15. Let's try this, right? We're going to try this real quick. AU Instruments, Moog, Model 15. So I just loaded up this. Oh, jeez. Isn't that just peachy? This is going to be lots of bumps for people. Okay. Now I've opened that up. And now it just crashed everything. Oof. Okay, so give me a second. We're going to reboot that. What we want to do is test this with one plugin I know is in both places. That's what we really want to do. So give me a second. I know that the screen is turned off for a second. Okay, let me turn it back on. It's loaded up now. So I'm going to save this. Boom, just like that. So here's this. Today, 501. No, so that's still the other one. I wonder how it's going to handle if there's two competing ones in the system. Save. Model 15, nope. iCloud. So everything gets saved in the Logic for Pro for iPad. I wonder if having both these open at the same time is going to cause all kinds of craziness, and I'm guessing yes. So Model D is still showing up there. I think we just rocked its world. It says it's uploading. Should not be taking anywhere near this long. Okay. What we're going to do on this channel, the next few streams we're going to do, we're going to be making some songs in the Logic Pro for iPad. Because I want to put it through its paces in terms of creativity, just with the default set of tools, but with an actual like MIDI keyboard and audio interface and everything. So we're going to test it with all of the stuff. And I'll probably put it on a monitor even so I can see it instead of just stare at a teeny little screen. But I'll have to clean off some of the space and download the rest of the files. Yeah. Be jamming since birth? That's the question. And where's the environment? I'm just kidding. We don't need the environment. But still, everything else. Ugh. Well, let's pull a plug on this. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope this kind of look at things is useful. We're gonna leave the type of tutorials and demonstrations of this software that are like a little bit more polished to people like Music Help Tech Guy, whatever, whichever of those two. I'm sure it's got a series in the works already explaining how to use it all. And that's not what you're going to get here at this channel. You're going to get a lot more just like raw, unfiltered, talking about this stuff. And as we explore and find cool things, we're going to share them. And as we run into things that make no sense, we're going to talk about how they make no sense. And so if that's the kind of look at this you want, then make sure you're subscribed and notified, because that's the cool stuff. That's the stuff I think that's going to make a difference to some of you as you sort through some of the same problems. Not just a really polished look at what we wish it was, but we're going to be looking at what it isn't just as much as what it is. I'm not on their payroll, so I can say whatever I want. As long as I don't use their videos, they can't block me on YouTube like they did a couple weeks ago. Apple blocked one of my videos because I played like 1 second of their promo video. I was saying nice things about it too. Wasn't even negative, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Any other things you'd like to see? This is totally frozen, by the way. We are no longer... I can't. I know that Bozen said maybe save with the new name to be on the safe side, but it's in the middle of downloading, uploading simultaneously between the two platforms, and so I think the experiment is dead. Not totally surprised. Disappointed. Logic Pro for iPad. Let's try. Yeah, it's like totally frozen. Who knows? I don't want to deal with it. What goes into here? Inside the file. Metadata playlist. Cool. Ooh, I bet you we could have some fun with the actual data in there. Anyway, I'm digressing quite quickly here. Little nerd alert. iCloud Drive. Let's look one more time to see if anything popped up. No, it's still weirdly frozen. I think it's a good place to stop. Thanks for watching. Like I said, we're going to be doing a lot more of these type of content streams as we figure out more things. And as we explore them, we're going to be creating music using Logic Pro for iPad because I really do want to like it. But, excuse me, so far, I can't figure out why I would use this over my full version, except for the fact that it's on an iPad, and I can like walk away from the house. If that's the only thing that's different, then get a laptop instead of an iPad. The touch interface, I mean, get an iPad, a laptop, and use the Logic remote, right? Use a different combination. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, everybody. We'll be doing more of these, so check back often. And we'll try to make an announcement before they come out so you have time to catch them.